Hello everyone and welcome to this Unity shader graph tutorial. This is the second part of the flow map tutorial, and in this part we'll be working on making our flow map custom node based on the node network we did in the last part. So let's do that. So the first thing we will be checking is how we can implement the custom nodes first of all. So to do that, we need to understand the structure of the nodes. And if you go to the Unity, let's say shader graph API, we'll be finding here some like the documentation of the shader graph itself. And if you go to the code part, you'll be finding the code of the nodes over here. If you go to com.unity.shadergraph, then you go to editor, then data, and you'll find the nodes over here. And you'll find all the nodes definition, and you can check, like for example we go to math as we did in the as explained in the last part, and you go for example to the add node or the multiply node. It's a different one. You'll see the node how it is done, and the code itself. So to do our flow map using this let's say code structure, we need to find out a node which is similar to our flow map. To do so, I have did already the search to find out which node will be which is similar to this flow map subgraph. So I find out that under let's say artistic normal, there is one node called create normal, and this node is like having texture asset input like we have in here, UV input, as well as some like floats or vector1 parameters. So that's what we need. This is exporting like color, vector3 color, and this is will be okay for us. So let's see this node how it is done in the code itself. So let's go back to nodes and go to artistic, the same path that we did. Normal create node. So this is the node we'll be using. We'll try to understand the structure of it, and we'll make our node based on this one. Okay, let's start. So the first of all, what we're going to do, we'll go to our Unity, then let's delete this, don't need anymore. Let's save this, and then let's close it. Then we'll go to this script folder. We'll create new C# script. We'll call this flow map tutorial, because we'll make it like a different name from the which is I did before. Okay, so let's open the script. Okay, here is the default script. We'll be doing something different. I will copy this, all this code. So turn it up, Ctrl C, go back to our C# class and Ctrl V. Okay, so the first thing we will be changing the name of the class to match our file name. So it is flow map tutorial. Okay, so we'll need also to change it over here. Flow map. This is the name which will appear in the shader graph selection. I mean node selection. This will change. It's not a normal, so we'll put in the utility. Okay, so it will be under artistic utility flow map tutorial. The name, or the name will be flow map tutorial. Okay. So let me explain the structure of the class first, and then we'll start modifying the code as we will make it as a flow map. So the first section is the variable class members definition, which is as you see here we have texture input, UV input. This is as you see it is an int type, and the value of it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and the next members is as you see it's called like K texture input name, UV input name. So as we understand, this is the names of the let's say of the node input parameters, and this is the as ID, it's the number. It's like an order, something like that. Okay, here is the constructor of the class. We can name it as same as the class name to fix this error. And in the constructor will be as you see here is the name of the node itself, like in here. So this actually will appear on the node. Let's open the shader graph so we can see what we are doing. Okay, so as I said, this is the name which will appear on the node name, like in here, for example, simple texture 2D. And this one will appear in the selection menu when you go to the create node and you go artistic, normal as the node which we copied. We'll find it over here. So our node will be under artistic, but under utility, let's say menu. Okay, and okay, here is the construct. Let's change the name. Okay, and we also do a call for the this function, which is update node after the serialization. And if we go to this node, we'll find out that in this actually if we go to this function, we'll find out that he's making some slot let's say calls. This is the function add slot, which will define the input ID, the order, let's say, and the name as well. He gives the name 2 times because the function, if we see over here, function parameters is slot ID, name, shader output name, and then there is other optional parameters, which is we'll see later. So this will be the material input. This is the UV of the same material, and as you see inside we have the ID and the name. As I said, here the same is UV, this one, the ID and the name, and then the let's say the type of it, the type of the input. So this works for all, and here he's doing the to make the instance of each input, let's say variable. Then there is another function, which is the implementation of this interface function. So in this function he is defining how the, let's say, the flow map shader function is called within the shader code. I know this is seems like it is confusing, but I will be explaining it in detail once we finish with the modification of this node code, because we'll be seeing also the generated shader code later. So the next function is actually the definition of the shader function, which is will make. In this part we see that we have a function name, which is defined in this section. Here is calling a function called get function name, and this is the function which is called get function name. It's having only a name of the function we are making for the shader portion of the code, and here is the parameters, and in here is the function core, let's say, of the code, which is actually this one for the flow map, for our flow map. We will be copying this and changing it to suit our let's say needs. Okay, then actually in here there is two let's say interface method redefinitions. It is different. You see the parameters are different. Here is visitor, here is registry. Actually we'll be using only one, because I think this is as I understand, this is an old definition of the let's say the normal create node function node let's say definition. And as you see here we have an error, so we may need to change the function call over here. Okay, so let's start implementing the our flow map node, and let's see what we have to do. So first of all, I'll be fixing this errors. To do that, we can like select in here, go to this, and put implement interface. This will implement the missing node interface. It's added over here, as you see. So we'll just cut this. Let's remove the extra spaces, and we'll be adding it after here. Okay, because this function is the same as this and this, but different implementation. Actually, after we finish with this, we'll remove those, because if you see over here, if you just press Ctrl and click on this interface, it seems that it is changed. So this interface having different parameters, registry and this graph context and generation mode, it's different than what we have over here. Here's the visitor and generation mode, as well here registry and generation mode, missing one parameter. But the error was about this let's say version of the function needs to be um, implemented as we have this interface extension. So let's go and implement this. This will be similar to this function, so we can copy this one and put it over here. Okay, and next we have also this let's say error. Let's fix it. Let's do the same thing, implement interface. So same thing in here. As you see, we are missing one parameters. So we'll copy this and we'll put it over here. Okay. So now we don't have any error, but we need to start implementing our flow map node. So let's go back to the shader graph. So here we have the texture, we have the UV as in the normal create node, which is this one. So we have these parameters. Also we have it over here. Let's go back. Then we need to add the offset and the first, before that we need to add the flow map. It's our GBA color vector form, let's say, and offset and speed. As I said, this phase 0, phase 1 will be keeping it as constant. We don't need to add to the node. So let's do that. So here is the texture, here is the UV, here is the sampler of it. We'll be adding over here the, let's copy this, paste it over here, and we're renaming it as flow map input ID. This will be, let's call it flow offset input ID. We'll be changing it. This is not strength, it will be speed, or let's say flow speed. Okay, so here is our parameters IDs. We'll need to do the same over the names. So we'll copy this one. We'll call it flow map input name. We'll name it here as a flow map. Okay, here is our flow offset, and here is our flow speed. Okay, here will be offsetting, this one will call speed, and this is our output. So we'll need to change these values, so this will be 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're done. So here texture UV sampler, flow map, offset, and speed and out. Okay, we have all our parameters. For sure we need to change the parameters over here. First of all, we need to fix the parameters, and we need to change the name of the function over here. So we call it flow map tutorial to make it different from the other one. Okay, and then we'll fix these parameters. So let's do after this one. We'll be looking for to add our flow map RGBA vector 4 color. So it will be vector 4 here. As we said, this is a type, and this one will be our flow map input ID. Next one will be the name, flow map input name. We'll put it over here and here, and this will be vector 4, so the default value cannot be float, it should be vector 4 dot 0. Let's initialize it by 0. Okay, now let's fix this. This will be flow offset input ID, as we did the change after the flow. Yeah, as well in here, flow, same here. Flow. Yeah, this one will be not strength, but will be speed. Yeah. Actually flow speed. Same in here, flow speed, not strength. Okay, so let's put the default values. Default value of this, we'll put it 1.0, and this we'll put it 0.2 as a default speed. This is the output. We don't need to change that. In this part, we will need to add our flow map ID, input ID, this one. To select this one and add it over here. Then we need to change this names as per we did. This is the flow offset input, and this is the flow speed. Yep, so we have all our variables over here. Okay, and then here we'll do the same thing. We'll add let's copy this one. This one we'll call it flow map value, let's see, and this will be the flow map input ID. This is flow offset, and this is the flow speed input ID. Okay, so in this part we are getting the value of the slots, which is the inputs over here. This we called as well slots as well. So here we are getting the value of it. I'll be changing this to speed. Okay, so let's put it flow offset and flow speed to match the name of the other variables. Also this one put it as small case, lowercase, so it will be matching the other variables. And this part is to get the texture simpler. We don't need to change that because we have it already. And here is the definition of the function call. We'll need to tweak this as well. So this will be flow offset, flow speed, yeah, and we have a missing value over here, which is the flow map value, yeah, and here we have only 6. We need to add one more, so 7, which is the flow map we added over here. Okay, but it will be on the 5th parameter, and we have the second 2 variables. Okay, so now we'll be modifying the shader function itself. So as I said before, this has been changed, so we don't need to re-implement this because it's not existing anymore in the interface. The same for this. Yeah, we need to implement only this. Okay, so we need to fix this as well. Parameters. So this is flow. This is flow speed. Yep. And we'll have to add the flow map ID. We'll find it over here. We use it too many times, so we have it. Okay. So we added added over here. Now we need to define the parameter names over here. So we'll be having the offset, which is we'll call it flow offset. This one with strength will be speed. Let's say flow speed. And we'll need to add the flow map value over here. So it will be this one 4 as well, but we'll change the others later on. And this will be the flow map. Okay, we need to change this. So it'll be 5, 6, and 7. Yeah. So we have our function parameter. This will be the shader function, which will be written by the Unity shader graph system. So we'll need to change now the code of the function as per our code over here, this one. So what we are going to do, we'll copy line by line and add it there and then try to understand the logic of it. So go back to our code. Okay, so and here we don't need all of this. We keep only one line to copy from it, and we'll start with the first line. So in the first line over here, we have this value and this instruction. Let's copy it. Let's go so it's here. Let's go to our code and let's paste it over here. Okay, so we have the flow variable. Here will be the our texture sampling, and here is our let's say other parameter, but we will need to change this because in the on the this code we need to use a sampler from this let's say flow map. Actually, we don't need to sample it because it is already considered sampled, because if you see over here, we input it as a vector 4, which is already sampled texture. So we'll copy this one, the flow map input value, let's say, and we'll replace this by that. As simple as this, it will be like working fine. Then the next line of code will be adding over here, which is not in our code here, which is the flipping, the red color flipping, which is we did over here in our shader graph. So, yeah, this one. We, as you see here, we did invert color and we flipped the red. So we do the same over here. How to do that will be like this one, point R is equal to, let's multiply this by -1. As simple as that. And so we multiply the R as of the flow here, which is this variable, by -1. That's the flipping. Okay. Next line, we multiply the flow direction by the offset, flow offset. Let's do it as per our code over here. So let's copy this. But all of the colors will be multiplied by the offset. So we'll do it like this. So this is the multiplication of the flow direction by the flow offset. Then we need to implement the phase 0 and phase 1. So let's copy the phase 0. Go back to our code, let's paste it. Let's copy this. And let's cut this and put it inside. Oops. Yeah, so here is the phase 0, here is our time. This one will be the speed, the flow speed. So we'll copy our flow speed, we'll replace this by our flow speed. Okay, and this will be the constant offset. As let's finish the next line and then I will explain it. We copy this and paste it over here, and we call this phase 1. It is the same as the phase 0, but only the change will be in here, which is 1.0. So this both are the offset, which is we said it is constant and we're not changing it, which is over here, this one and this one, and which is in our subgraph, this both inputs. So it is those constants. Okay, so next lines will be the sampling of the main texture. So let's copy the first line. First of all, let's duplicate this line. And let's copy this and put it in our code. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, so here's this simple texture 0, and we have another one. Duplicate it. Yeah, but we need to copy this second line. Back. Okay. So, and these two lines will be using the phase 0 and phase 1 within the UV of the sampling, but we'll need to change this text to D because we are going to sample this texture actually. How we will do it, you can see over the original node code, which is we used the normal create node. We can see how he did the sampling and inside the code he did simple he did the texture dot simple, and he keep the simpler under the UV. So what we are going to do, we'll copy this code, line of code, and we'll just replace this. Why we did that? Because we have the parameter over here. This is texture, this is a function simple, and we'll need to change this by the simpler. Okay, here is our simpler. As well, this will be the original UV, so we'll use this UV. Okay, plus the flow dir xy rg, because we are using only the red and green color of the fauna, because it is vector 2D as per the UV, it is vector 2, and we'll multiply it by the phase 0 and phase 1, and then we'll have our simple texture in here, text 0 and text 1, text 0 and text 1. Yeah, then next lines will be, let's go back to our code, will be the lerp. Okay, so let's copy it. Let's select any of the lines to duplicate it, and let's put our code inside. Okay, so on this lerp we'll be having the same portion of the code which is we converted to subgraph over here last part in the last part, this thing. So this will be the result of this will be our lerp value, which is this one. So it is the, let's say, the absolute of the 0.5 minus phase 0.2, which is we have over here and divided by 0.5, and we take the absolute of it. Then let's duplicate this D. Okay, let's go back to the code, and then let's copy this final color line. This will be our last line which is we will be implementing, so we'll put it over here, and so this final color will be our output. So this one will be out only. I don't need this anymore. And this will be our last line, which is the lerp between the both simplet textures, text 0 and text 1, and will be lerping on this value flow lerp, which is we defined before. Okay, here is our function done, and let's give it a fast check to see if we did any error or something. So first of all, we changed the name and the location of the node where we found it. So we find it under artistic utility flow map tutorial. We added the missing parameters over here. We fixed the order as well as the name over here. We changed the name of the node. This part you don't need to re-implement this to override this because it is the link to the documentation. So if you want to do your own documentation, you can change the link over here. And here is the function name which is we are defining on the shader code. Okay, this is has it is like if the node has a preview or not. We keep the preview. I'll show why later. And if you see over here, we added the missing parameters as well. We did the instantiation of the variables over here. We modified this function call by adding the missing values over here and here. And then we did the shader function definition, which is this is the header of it and the parameters. We added our flow map and flow offset parameter. Here we did the definition of the function, and that's all. I think as well we don't need this one because it is changed also on the interface over here. Okay, so I think we are done with the code of the node. Let's save it and see how we can use it. Okay, so let's go back to our shader. So this is our shader. Let's give it some time to compile the code we did already. I hope we'll not find any error. Let's check. Yeah, it seems like we don't have any error. Let's verify if we have the node in the list. Create node. We put it under artistic utility. Yeah, this is our node. So let's add it. Okay, good. So this is the node, and let's use it and see. Let's delete this. We don't need it. How it will work. So so it will require the texture. So let's create the texture node. Let's select the same texture and give it away. We'll also need the flow map. Let's create the flow map. Actually, the simple texture, as it is requiring the color. Let's use the same flow map we used before. Okay, and let's okay, we are not able to see the result over here. I'll see why it's like that, but we should be able to see the code over here. Maybe we have an error in the shader itself when the code is generated. Let's take those up a little bit. Actually, yeah, as you see here, it's pink. It means we have error in the shader code. So to find out where is the error, we can do right click on the flow map, copy shader code, and we go to any text editor then we paste it, and let's see what we are missing over here. So if you go, this is the function unity flow map editor as we named it before. Okay, here is our code which is written. Actually I see here we are missing the semicolons, so that's the error, I hope. So we'll fix it over here. Yeah, and here as well. Let's save it. Let's go back to Unity and let's give it some time. So we'll compile the code. Yeah, so we have our shader now working over here, but you will not see the animation because we don't have, because we implemented the time inside the function itself, as you remember over here. So we'll not, because of that, we'll not be able to see the animation on the preview of this node. To fix this problem, we'll be adding one more parameter over here, which is called the timer, and we'll be bringing the time from a time node. So let's do that. So here we'll be adding another parameter. Let's try to do it fast so we don't waste time. So this will be timer input. This will be 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. As well here we'll add the name of it. Timer. We'll name it timer. Yeah. We'll need to add it over here as well. Let's copy this. We'll add it before the offset. So we'll copy the names. This is the input. This is the name. It will be vector1, so the default value is fine. We'll be adding it over here as well. Copy this, paste it over here. Yeah, we'll be adding it in the call as well, so we'll be defining it over here to get the value from the slot. This will be timer value. We'll get the timer input ID. Yeah, and we'll add the value before the offset over here. Yep. We need to add a parameter over here also called date. We'll add it on the definition of the function as well. So it will be in here. Will be this one 5, and we'll call it timer. This will be 6, 7, and 8, and then we'll use it inside the core of the function, so we don't need those. we multiply by the timer, our new variable. Yeah, I think we are done. So let's verify. We add it over here. We add the name of it. Is in here, correct. We add it over here. We add it in the function call. As well, we add it over here. So just I check so I'm sure I didn't forget anything. As well, we add it in the definition, and we add it in the call of the function, and that's it. So let's go back. So give it some time to recompile the code. Okay, we got an error. So let's see what we got today. Okay, so let's try to find out the error in the code. So I think we are fine all of this part. So we have added the time over here and we use it. Yeah, so I think we missed this to add the parameter over here. So let's copy this. It is the timer input ID. So this is the correct name. Okay, let's save it. And let's go back to our Unity shader graph. Let's give some time to recompile. Yep, I think let's clear this and let's see our shader graph. Yeah, now we have added the timer parameter over here if you see it. So we'll need to create a time node and link it to the timer parameter, and then then we'll be able to see the animation in real time in the preview nodes, the preview of the node itself, and then the preview of the shader graph itself. Okay, so we have the values over here. We can like tweak them and change them and see the effect. As you see as well, we can change, for example, the speed. Let's put it, make it faster. Let's say 0.6. As you see over here, it's working. And here is our node. So here is the let's say the custom node. It is done through the Unity shader graph API. I'll be linking this C# class in the description below, and you can use it in your shaders. Thank you guys for the following up with this tutorial, and see you on the next one.